Okay, here's another parallel circuit. In this case, we again have two resistors, R1 and R2. And the V you see there are voltage meters. And we put a voltage meter across the poles of the battery, across the poles of resistor 1, and across the poles of resistor 2. If somebody were to ask what is the voltage of the entire circuit, you would take a look at the battery, of course, and you would say, well, it has to be 10 volts. Well, you also notice that the voltage across the first resistor is 10 volts, and the voltage across the second resistor is 10 volts. So in parallel circuits, unlike series circuits, the voltage of the entire circuit is the same throughout the circuit. It's the same across each of the resistors, and they are equal to the voltage across the battery. You might ask, why is that? And it's kind of the same reason when we were drawing the arrows the last time. Let's take a look at the current coming from the battery. So the current starts here from the battery, and it travels along, and it goes through this resistor, and it goes back to the other side of the battery. Okay? So if it's 10 volts coming out of the battery, it is going to be 10 volts across resistor number 1. Now, let's go ahead and do the same thing for the circuit that is parallel to that first one, and that's going to be the R2 circuit. So we're going to start here at the battery, and we're going to travel along here, and we're now going to go up to R2. We're going to leave R2, and we are going to return again to the back door of the battery. If you remember, in a series circuit, the voltage had to go through a resistor before it got to the next resistor. In this case, it doesn't have to go through that first resistor. The voltage going to R2 did not have to go through R1. It had its own path, the yellow path. And the voltage going to R1 didn't have to go through R2. It had its own path, the red path. As you'll see a little bit later, this is a good example of rule number 1 of solving parallel DC circuits. Rule number 1 is the same voltage exists across each branch of a parallel circuit and is equal to the source voltage. So the voltage across R1 is 10 volts, and it's equal to the battery voltage, and the voltage across R2 is 10 volts, and it is also equal to the battery voltage. Thanks.